5 races remain in the Integrity Ignite Series regular season, and tonight, one of the biggest circuits in the Northeast once again plays host to the championship fight. Welcome back to Long Pond, Pennsylvania for the Pocono Raceway's first and only appearance on the schedule. It's time to go back to action here in the third and final leg of the regular season campaign. Coming off of summer break, we've seen fantastic racing, the All-Star race, and of course last week in Atlanta, and tonight it's once again time to go full on at one of NASCAR's fastest oval circuits, 2.5 miles of racing land that we've got to work with tonight, and for 80 laps, drivers will take it around the track until the checkered flag falls. Welcome back to the Integrity Ignite Series live on FTN. I'm your host for tonight's broadcast, David Kreutz, commentating and producing. And it's going to be an exciting night with championship implications so early in the going. The bubble battle progresses, and of course now looking for the race win, Chad Mikus up to the top of the board in qualifying as the first times are currently being set. 2 minutes and 45 seconds left on the charts right now in the Long Pond 200 qualifying, and over 25 drivers have registered once again for tonight's race. DJ Stagner able to get it done in victory last season, an overtime finish, of course, last week, getting it done for his third win of the season. DJ, the winningest driver, although he's been on a part-time campaign so far, and now Braxton Deweese and Nick Tarbuck are going head-to-head for the pole position. Nick right now going to be coming out of turn 2 and making his way into 3 this time around, and as Tarbuck does so, he's looking to lock himself up the pole position as Braxton Deweese comes across the line, not able to gain on Nick, and it looks like now Tarbuck able to set a lap worth 54.369, not quick enough, and Nick is still going to be on the top of the board. Nobody able to knock down his fastest lap. Rob Ackley currently going to be in 6th, provisionally Thomas Bressi going to be position number 5, and Bressi looking for a bit of a rebound race after getting caught up in the trouble in Atlanta. Now, Bressi going to end his qualifying run. The number 24 machine going to make it down and in. Matthew Thunor still on the way. And as Matthew comes across the line, the number 8 machine is already 4th and able to gain that time by, but not enough for a position. He's 100th of a second behind Jacob Fife for 3rd on the qualifying order, but just not quick enough to make that position his own. Seb Miller currently going to be in 11th. Miller, the number 83 machine, working his way now down the effective back straightaway as he comes after turn 2 and making it into the final corner, warming himself up after, of course, taking 2 laps. Miller might be going for a little bit more time on the circuit. He's currently 12th right now as more drivers get lined up. Don Stevenson is up to 5th, and currently going to be Cody Smith in 16th. DJ Stagner also going to be taking a lap right now, and your defending race winner looking for what could be his 4th on the campaign if he is to win tonight. He has gone for his first lap. He was not able to get it validated, so it's a one-and-done lap here as he comes up to the high side of the circuit. No contact for Stagner, and at the line, he's going to come in and clock in a time, a 54.26. That time is good for 2nd on the board. DJ Stagner shoots up to the front row and just 1 spot away from where he finished last week. Stagner finds himself 2nd, but it will be Nick Tarbuck in the number 29 grabbing the pole position tonight, and he'll be leading the field to green in just a few minutes here from the virtual Pocono Raceway. All in all, Tarbuck able to grab that top position by just 15 thousandths of a second, and it was a very short distance between he and Stagner in Nick's first lap, the only lap he needed. And as such now, with our 5-minute practice session in motion, let's get to know your starting grid from top to bottom tonight and look at your front row and then on down. Tonight in the Long Pond 200, we've got more than 25 drivers looking to get to work in tonight's event, and very familiar faces coming to the front of the field indeed. How about Nick Tarbuck in the number 29 inside of row number 1 with a 54.255, DJ Stagner right beside him with a 54.26, and Stagner going to be starting in the front row after a victory last week in Atlanta. And of course, championship leader Braxton Uis going to be in third alongside league owner Jacob Fife. Fife a few hundredths of a second off of Braxton there, but both of which third and fourth respectively. And then Matthew Thunhorst a hundredth of a second behind Fife. He's there, position number 5. Don Stevenson is going to be in 6th with Thomas Bressie 7th. Rob Ackley is going to be 8th, and then Blake Gordon just a 1,000th back. He's in 9th. Chuck Sweeting rounds out the top 10 in the number 75 machine, and he finds himself there with a 54.445. Then from there, you have to look on to 11th position in Ryan Potter, the number 99 machine, going to be just behind Chuck Sweeting by 2 1,000ths, and enough to hang in there for the 11th spot. And next to him, Michael Stroll in the 3. Seb Miller going to end up in 13th in this qualifying session. And behind him, Chad Mikas, Justin Morton going to be 15th, and Vinny Tigner is P16. Cody Smith in the 18 will go to 17th quickest with a 54.556, and beside him is going to be Adam Wood, the number 45, who ran very solid last week in Atlanta, hoping to maybe go for a little bit more of that top 10, maybe top 5 pace once again as the night goes on. Forrest Smith, the number 15, 19th on the order with a 54.699. Anthony Cortina going to round out the top 20, 54.733 for Anthony and his crew as he comes through the final driver in the top 20 and one of the final drivers to take a time. Brian McFerrin going to be the number 7 tonight, and he's got himself in 21st. Next to him is the number 73 of Kyle Cooper. Andrew Schaub is going to be 23rd, and then Alan Rowell is 24th. Rowell with a 56.011 is the last driver to take a time overall, and then you got 25th in Brad Patton. Patton again opting not to take a qualifying time intentionally, and beside him will then be 26th in Gael Brooks. 27th place then and there goes to Brandon Bernhardt with Boomer Logan 28th. And of course, the 15th and final row in tonight's event, it's the number 91 of Cal Filarski. 29 drivers have registered for tonight's race here at the Pocono Raceway. And Nick Tarbuck will be at the top of the board for the starting grid here in the Long Pond 200. And so now drivers are taking their warm-up laps, and let's look down at the track to see who's currently the top of the board. Who else but Ryan Potter in the number 99. Caught up in an incident last week in Atlanta late in the going in about the final 10 or 15 laps. And as we always mention, Potter seems to find trouble no matter where we go, and it seems like that has been the Achilles heel of this team throughout the season. He was running up inside the lead pack in the middle of the race, ended up getting taken out, and his teammate DJ Stagner nevertheless able to still get the victory. Potter able to recover last week, but of course recovery just meaning he got across the line when all was said and done. And now Potter going to drop into pit road as Brad Patton also decides to practice some pit stops here, perhaps in anticipation of what's to come as the race goes on, maybe expecting some green flag strategy as we look on board with Don Stevenson. Down and in, Don Stevenson is going to go. Very few drivers able to set a time, but Thomas Bressie moves up to the final seconds. The top spot on the board in second practice. Bressie going to be quickest with a 54.527, and that will move at the top of the board here in this warm-up stint. And so, with that being said, qualifying, practice, it's all over, And now our 80-lap feature is due to begin. Welcome back to the Pocono Raceway. It's been a long time coming, and the Tricky Triangle is once again the place to be in the Integrity Racing League. And now, drivers getting into formation on the starting grid. This 2.5-mile circuit iconic. It's 3-turn layout with turns labeled after some tracks which are no longer here, but generally speaking, iconic circuits throughout the motor racing world, particularly the oval racing world. And if you are a racing fan of many years and decades of experience, you might be able to recognize all three without even saying their names. The turns are named after other circuits throughout the country. The tunnel turn, of course, turn 2, but it also has another name that goes with it. Not only the fact that there's a tunnel directly underneath, but instead the track that it was inspired from. Pocono Raceway has now been in operation for more than 50 years and has been used in NASCAR Cup Series, Xfinity, and Truck Series competition for several decades. The Cup Series began coming to this venue in the late 1960s, and as recent as 2010, the NASCAR Truck Series was introduced to the track for the very first time. Now, Nick Tarbuck with an opportunity to get the field rolling as it's time to take it off a pit road, and drivers are now hitting the pedals, getting out of neutral, and rolling for their first pace lap of the night. Overall, track conditions are going to be somewhat warm tonight. 69-degree ambient temperature with a track temp of 105 degrees Fahrenheit as we look at your leader, Nick Tarbuck, making it out of turn number 1, the highest banking throughout the entire circuit, north of 20 degrees of banking, and that turn named after the famous Trenton Speedway. Now, Trenton no longer in operation, but that turn 1 corner still remains in memory of the former track. Now, coming up to turn 2, labeled after the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, another 2.5-mile track, and sharing the same style of corner as we see at Indy, but instead, going to be a quick sweep through in the tunnel turn, making the drivers back right out into the final leg of the back straightaway. And turn 3, the final turn in this circuit for each and every driver, and Nick Tarbuck will have to navigate through that final turn ahead of all his competition, labeled and named after the Milwaukee Mile. This is the only turn with less than 15 degrees of banking in total, less than 10 degrees as a matter of fact. It is as flat as it gets, and drivers with very little support all throughout will have to manage their tire and their fuel as the night progresses. iRacing official pace car is ready to duck down low, and he will find the 4th turn. The rest of the field, they won't, at least until the green flag strategy comes into play. Nick Tarbuck going to lead the field to the green flag for the first time tonight. Welcome back to racing in Pennsylvania. The green flag's out for the Long Pond 200, and Tarbuck will lead us into turn 1. Across the line, Nick Tarbuck will prevail and keep his race lead over Braxton Deweese. Chris Deweese in the chat room, as is Doug Mindorf. Thank you both for stopping by. We are just getting started, and currently it's going to be Nick Tarbuck getting away on that first lap and putting himself into a good position here to take the advantage into turn 2 and potentially making another lap led at the head of the field. Look a bit further back and you'll see now drivers battling each other in the midfield. There's Michael Stroll, DJ Stagner, Chuck Sweeting among others right now, making their way through and getting those early laps in the books. Cody Smith going to be side by side right now with Chad Micus. Micus third in the championship standings coming into tonight, and overall not one of his strongest qualifying performances, but getting that first win off his back and finally finding victory lane is going to make this season much easier for Chad Micus, winning at the Kern County Raceway. And ever since then, of course, no worries about not making the playoffs. He is officially locked in no matter what, and he's one of the drivers who have been at the front of the field most every week. His consistency has been excellent all season long, and only second to Matthew Thunhorst and Braxton DeWeese, respectively, who have both been at the head of the field most every race. Right now, Matthew once again going to be in the 5th position. Braxton DeWeese is going to be there in 3rd. As Braxton makes it out of the tunnel turn once again, he's just behind Jacob Fife, but now Thomas Bressi looks to his inside. Bressi decides to dive a little bit deeper here into Milwaukee, decided to go all the way down to the paint, but to no avail once again. Not going to be able to make a pass stick, and instead stays right behind the number 13, and Bressi right now decides to stay where he is. Two-time race winner so far in this season, and he was previously tied with DJ Stagner for the most on this campaign until, of course, DJ got his 3rd. And right now, Stagner going to be 10th as it stands. And in the middle of the field, he still lies back. Most of this pack going to be single file, coming out of each and every corner, seeing very little hesitation from drivers to get into this lineup and decide to assemble themselves for the long term. Not seeing a lot of that over-aggressive driving as the field understanding, managing those expectations of what's to come is perhaps the most important thing for the rest of this race. Not expecting every lap to be a barn burner here, and instead getting ready to load up and lock in for a long green flag run. That's the biggest expectation, and we are looking at what is most likely going to come down to a 2-stop strategy. Expect drivers to go 30-some laps and then go down to pit road. Then again, they'll come down to the mid-60s, and they'll come down to end the day on that run. So it's going to be a total of 3 stints and 2 pit stops. First pit cycle should begin about 25 to 30 laps from now, and that's when all the drivers are going to be able to lock themselves in, make their move in together, and hopefully come out unscathed. As currently it's going to be Matthew Thunhorst running right behind Thomas Bressi and ahead of Don Stevenson, among others, and he keeps himself out of harm's way in the 5th position here with Ackley, Stevenson, Michael Stroll, and Blake Gordon going right back at it. And Blake Gordon right now coming off of another very close call with victory last week, and coming up with that runner-up spot. He has been oh so close to victory multiple times this season, just has not come to fruition. Same goes for Michael Stroll, who has been working his way back up into the top 15 bubble to guarantee himself an opportunity into the championship race. And so far tonight, doing a pretty good job of just that. He is in 8th right now and still ever so slightly climbing, as his teammate Rob Ackley is going to be just a position ahead now for Domination Intimidation Racing. JTM, multiple drivers at the front of the field. Matthew Thunhorst right here, the number 8. He's in 5th. Thomas Bressi is going to be in 4th for the time being, watching as Jacob Fife was able to make the move past Braxton DeWeese. And now Braxton might be more vulnerable from attack that Thomas Bressi has in his back pocket here. Coming across the stripe once again, Bressi going to stay in line and does not look to go low, at least for now. Riding on board now with Thomas Bressi, and you'll see he's going to look low late and into turn 1. Thomas Bressi now going to have an opportunity to make that pass quickly and easily. Going to take that preferred inside groove, and as opposed to, of course, using Braxton up, looking to force a mistake, can't get one out of him, and he'll have to reset and go at it once again when the opportunity returns. For the time being, though, it doesn't look like that chance can be taken, and Bressi decides to run back in line. Patience is key, and Braxton going to get himself up in front. The advantage is his yet again. 7 laps in out of 80. Jacob Fife for the time being, that number 36, he's doing a real good job, of course, of just staying ahead of most of the field. Of course, letting Nick Tarbuck now begin to perhaps run away with it, but for the time being, of course, anything could change. So Fife staying in tow, not wasting his equipment and burning it up all too rapidly, and instead waiting for a chance and the opportunity, of course, to take the lead while strategy comes to pass. So, not going to burn up those tires, perhaps be a little bit more moderate with the fuel saving, and not going to be going all out to keep the lead as Thomas Bresci goes down to the inside once again. Going to hang it low there on Braxton DeWeese. Looking to the inside and making it back out. There's Thomas Bresci. He's up to third, 8 laps in out of 80. Getting himself up inside the podium with Braxton now falling back overall 2 positions, and Matthew Thunhorst, his championship rival, will be the next driver he has to go against here. Thunhorst slowly but surely making gains. For Matthew Thunhorst, it's quite the shock in all honesty. We have not seen him so far come through with multiple wins on the season. Braxton Weiss has gotten it done now several times, his most recent victory coming at the Charlotte Motor Speedway, but Matthew Thunhorst, he still finds himself limited with 1 victory, which came very early at the season, and ever since that point, he fell down in a little bit of a mid-season slump, and while he has recovered, he was able to keep himself within the championship race. He gave up more than 30 points to Braxton DeWeese, and now finds himself in a little bit of a deficit heading into the regular season. Now, the regular season championship is not the most important thing for the rest of the year, but for Matthew Thunhorst, of course, he is not on the right foot when it comes to that momentum. And even though right now he's got a good chance to make it by Braxton, we should be able to hold him right there at the line, and Braxton will have the edge coming through for lap number 10. 11th spot, how will we look back at that fight? That's going to be Seb Miller now and Chuck Sweeting. Sweeting stays in the confines of the top dozen right now, but it looks like he's only moved back a position relative to his goal of staying up there in the top 10. DJ Stagner able to keep himself in 10th now, and although Stagner had a great qualifying run, it looks like he has not been able to make it happen since that point. Started in the front row in second, and ever since then has dropped down a total
competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series in officially licensed cars engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
This message is brought to you by the rebrand of Throttle Graphics and Designs. This publication may not be reposted without the authorized written consent of Throttle Graphics and Designs. NASCAR Camping World Ford F-150. NASCAR Xfinity Ford Mustang. NASCAR Cup Series Next-Gen Ford Mustang. Arca Menards. This has been the publication of the redesign and rebranding of Throttle Graphics and Designs. This message may not be reposted, republicated, or rebroadcasted without the authorized written consent of Throttle Graphics and Designs. Thank you, and thanks for your time.
Boundless makes its presence felt. It will not be ignored. We're helping turn ideas into reality with a wealth of building products that take every architectural style to the next level. This is what it's like to imagine build, and transform anything we want into exactly what we seek. This is what it means to be boundless.
Welcome back live on FTN. 15 laps set out of 80. We got a battle now for second that goes 3 wide. Thomas Bressi down to the inside line. He'll hang it tough. He's got Jacob Fife and Braxton Weiss he's both dealing with. And it looks like now Braxton going to be able to get back into the runner-up position. Live on FTN, we've returned with coverage, and it looks like now Fife hanging tough inside the podium. Has just been able to keep himself there in third. Thomas Bressi now and the JTM team are going to fall back down to 4th and 5th respectively. Michael Stroll has been able to creep up in this battle as well, and it could become an even closer fight. Michael right now going to be 6th. Rob Ackley going to be 7th, and Don Stevenson in 8th. Look at how all these drivers are now up in one bundle together, and they're as close as they've been all night long. Fife now going to come down to the inside line and give Thomas Bressi that opportunity up top to make it an even closer battle. They'll be side by side and giving all of the field a lot of space now to work with. Pocono Raceway, one of the biggest strengths that this track holds for great racing is how many lanes there are of the track to use. And while Nick Tarbuck so far has been able to run away from the field, you can see everyone else in the leading pack. Not so much. Everyone continues to battle. Now down low, going to be Michael Stroll looking to the inside, making it 3 wide in the number 3. And the AC Delco Chevrolet going to try to make it 3 through the tunnel turn. Fife gets loose. He'll be knocked up and down the track, but Jacob saves it. And now he'll be side by side again with Stroll. Going to have to lay off the gas. Rob Ackley going to have to move down low. And Fife losing several spots in a bit of a hornet's nest here. And he just got stung. Let's see whether or not he can bite back, but it looks like for the time being, Jacob Fife instead going to drop down low immediately and take care of what just happened in the number 36 car. Fife from up front now having to come down a pit road due to potential damage, if not something else. And here comes Jacob making his way in on his own. Nick Tarbuck now leads by 3 seconds over the majority of the field here. And here you see it. Number 8 of Matthew Thunors. Looking further back, he's got a few drivers behind him, such as Blake Gordon, Michael Stroll, Rob Ackley, Don Stevenson in 8th, and Seb Miller in 9th. Right on board briefly here with Seb Miller to see exactly what's going on, as behind him, there's a very fierce battle. Sebastian Miller right now with defending race winner DJ Stagner right behind him, doing a pretty good job so far of keeping that defense up. And in all honesty, most of these drivers should not have to worry about especially competitive defense. Jacob Fife maybe being the bit of an exception there, as he got caught up in the mix and got beaten back and forth as that battle progressed. Everyone else, though, you see for the most part keeping it nice and tidy. There's Cody Smith with Chad Micus, and they're going to go side by side now for the 11th position. Mike is going to look up top, and Chad going to make up another position. Cody Smith started in 17th. Micus, also a driver who's had a lot to prove so far tonight, coming up from 14th, both of which have made gains and are both looking to enter the top 10 respectively here. We'll see whether or not they can, as Chad Micus is instead going to go for the early pit road strategy, and it looks like now the number 25 machine, he is going to lock himself in, going down a pit road quick, and so it's going to become an early opportunity for strategy to play out. Jacob Fife, Cal Filarski, and Chad Micus have all decided to go down and in, and 19 laps out of 80. It looks like now Nick Tarbuck starting to catch up to some of that lap traffic from this early pit cycle, and we'll see how it all plays out here as Micus is going to be down and almost out of lead lap contention. Cal Filarski going to give away that spot to Nick Tarbuck, and it should be in a perfect opportunity now for the 29 to hang tough. Braxton Deweese going to be second now with 2.3 seconds the gap. Matthew Thunhorst, 2/10 behind. He is on Thomas Bressie. His teammate there going to be just ahead of him, and Blake Gordon just behind. The core of this leading pack remains tight, but it looks like now we're starting to see a few drivers stretch away, others of which are still remaining as close as ever, and currently the closest battle on the field is going to be one to go down a pit road. It's going to be the number 99 of Ryan Potter making his way in from the top 15, and Potter going to cycle down and take his 4 tires and fuel for his first pit stop of the night. So it looks like drivers are going to go for that 2-stop strategy and decide to go down a pit road rather quickly here in lap 20 or so, then try to go until maybe lap 45 to 50, and then from there they go to the checkered flag all the way. Pulling it together, of course, with that strategy call is not necessarily risky, but instead they're trying to go for a rapid fast undercut to get themselves back on the track with younger tires quick, and it should be able to build up track position if done correctly. Right now, Gael Brooks going to be on the back end of Boomer Logan. This is tentatively the battle for 18th, and it looks like Gael Brooks staying right behind through Milwaukee. Looks like Boomer Logan going to pick up a little bit higher out of turn 3, and it looks like down the front straight, Gael has much more to prove. He'll go down to the inside, looks low, thinks better of it, and instead decides to hang tough here with Boomer Logan, and they'll stay together again as they go through turn 1, and drivers are still contemplating heading down pit road. Huck Sweeting, Brad Patton, DJ Stagner, all of which now together, and it's going to be a leading battle that we're not looking at for now because Nick Tarbuck has gotten away, but instead the middle of the field continuing to fight one another lap after lap. Take a look on board now with DJ Stagner, see where he's at. Right now, Stagner going to be hanging tough in the battle for a top 10 spot, looking to hold on with some solid 10th place pace right now, and qualifying indicative, if anything. He does have that awesome 1-lap speed, but you got to wonder right now, being in 10th, he is about 7 seconds behind leader Nick Tarbuck, and in all honesty, he hasn't quite been able to show those signs of making it back up. It's going to be very, very tricky here with more time to spare, of course, than most other circuits. It's 2.5 miles a lap, so there are still hundreds of miles to go. But I don't think DJ Stagner is necessarily equipped to make things work unless he really turns on the jets, makes it happen. Brad Patton right now going to be in 9th, and Seb Miller there 8th. Rob Ackley 2/10 of a second behind now on Don Stevenson, and a little bit of separation because Michael Stroll and Chad Micus and Jacob Fife alike, they all went down a pit road. Ackley going to be making his way now behind the number 47 of Don Stevenson, who's once again going for a very solid top 5 run. That's the end goal for the 47 crew. And for Don Stevenson right now, that number 47 team, versatile and has seen success in both series. Now, Stevenson still chasing that opportunity to find the checkered flag so far in this season. However, the number 47 team is currently 7th in the championship standings and running right behind some of the heavy hitters in this title battle. Some of the underdogs perhaps for the later playoff rounds, such as Nick Tarbuck and Rob Ackley directly ahead. And then behind, you'll see a driver like Blake Gordon or Chuck Sweeting, all of which have been remarkably consistent as this season has progressed. Of course, right now, looks like Stevenson is ahead of one of his battling rivals in this championship position, and Rob Ackley. Ackley is position number 6, and Don Stevenson position number 7 in the overall championship here. So this battle does mean an awful lot with respect to how they play out in the seeding picture for the regular season and its conclusion. And this one does as well, as it's going to be Matthew Thunhorst, Blake Gordon, and Thomas Bressi, all of which working with each other, making their way 24 laps in out of 80. And now Blake Gordon looking low as he goes into Milwaukee, and he will think better of and decide to hang back, at least for the time being. Patience has been pivotal, and Thomas Bressi has been manipulating that to his advantages so far. Both drivers behind him have not yet decided to really go all too aggressive in trying to make a pass. And through turn 1, drivers in the next-gen cars, the Xfinity cars of today, and most other modern stock cars don't necessarily have to do this, but if we ride on board and look at the gearbox for Matthew Thunhorst, maybe one driver or two are actually shifting gears. You don't quite hear it as they go through the tunnel turn, but I would expect that there's some drivers who have experimented with going down to third gear for turns like Indianapolis and Milwaukee here. And if you listen on board here with Matthew Thunhorst, he does shift his gear, go down to third, and then tries to get that nice exit. It's often said that Pocono Raceway is almost like the road course of oval superspeedways, because it is not full throttle, but instead you definitely have to work with the drivers around you to put that power down and work through the gears. 26 laps out of 80, and Thomas Bressi directly ahead, but it looks like another battle beginning to brew with the same level of intensity. Brad Patton now and Sebastian Miller. See now, Patton right behind the number 83, looking for that 8th spot. Patton so far has been able to make substantial gains on the day, started outside of the top 20 and currently is in 9th. You can see him hanging tough in the top 10 once again, and right now it looks like Seb Miller is in danger. He's going to lose that position rather quickly. Brad Patton able to go down to the inside and take that bottom line and use it to his advantage again. And Patton has been doing great work so far inside the cockpit, as it's going to be an onslaught of drivers down a pit road. Here's Thomas Bressi with Matthew Thunhorst, and then from there, Don Stevenson. Seb Miller going to be a little bit further on back all the same. And now, as most drivers comes through, you can see Bressi's going to bring his company from the higher end of the field, and overall the race results have been shuffled. It's going to be Nick Tarbuck up and ahead now by 1.6 seconds over Braxton DeWeese. Blake Gordon going to be in 3rd, and Rob Ackley is in 4th with Brad Patton position number 5, at least for the time being. DJ Stagner now going to find himself just outside of the top 5, and with Chuck Sweeting chasing, it looks like Sweeting so far has been able to stay just behind DJ, and they've been working together to make their way up. Almost looks like a little bit of a hood pop there in the number 75, so perhaps some minor contact previously as he drifts loose into pit road, but no trouble. In comes Braxton DeWeese as well. Blake Gordon going to come with, and all the same, looks like most drivers are going to figure things out, and Vinny Tigner, who's been quiet today, he's coming in from the 12th position. He drops through in the Wabash Ford Mustang. Pit road going to be especially active now, 28 laps out of 80, and the window is open. We're waiting now on leaders such as Braxton Lewis, and we still can't quite tell when they'll decide to go in. Maybe just trying to go for the conventional two-stop strategy of running until empty. However, now more than half of the field has gone down to pit road, and this will leave Rob Ackley in the runner-up spot. Ackley hangs tough here in second, and now it's going to be in third, 2.5 seconds behind him, Brad Patton. Overall, Patton been able to keep himself gaining in the up and up, but now whether or not those gains are sustainable, we are due to find out. Don't expect drivers to be taking for a two-stop strategy here, or a two-tire strategy, that is. As right now, Braxton DeWeese for the lead decides to come down and in. He's going to give the lead to Rob Ackley, and it's going to be then Brad Patton chasing on up. Brad Patton moves up to second. DJ Stagner, then and there, is in third. Justin Morton decides to make his way through from the middle of the field. 4 tires has been the norm for every driver so far today. And of the times on pit road registered so far, some of the fastest drivers who have come through pit road still find themselves in the middle of the pack. Don Stevenson had a 41.2 second time in and out of pit lane, and that was the fastest recorded so far until it was broken just now by Braxton DeWeese. Braxton able to cycle through in a total of 41.1 seconds, so overall, Braxton by far the quickest on that cycle. And then, not to be outdone, there's Kyle Cooper, who's now up into net 13th. He had a 41-second flat stop. Overall, fantastic timing for the 73. And we'll see whether or not now he can convert it to anything as we ride on board with Kyle Cooper just behind former race leader Nick Tarbuck. Cooper so far has not made any gains. The reason largely in part due to the fact he has a much older set of tires. So far he's been on a 10-lap run with a stint we're seeing as we speak, relative to the fact that Nick Tarbuck has 8 laps of fresher rubber. It's more than likely now the new tires will come to the top of the field, and here comes Thomas Brescia making his way right around Ryan Potter, and it's going to be a quick and simple pass that puts Brescia now up to net 11th. We're waiting on 4 drivers to come down a pit road, and it looks like it's going to be Brad Patton, the first of which, in that number 07, leading the way with DJ Stagner second and Boomer Logan third. Gael Brooks position number 4. Top 4 drivers have been able to hold themselves together, but at this point they have gone far longer than the rest of the field. Especially unlikely, of course, that these drivers make it happen. Of course, 40 laps would be their optimal goal, but right now fuel saving would have to be at the max to even go more than 5 laps longer than what we've seen. The signal right now for Brad Patton appears to be in, so the 07 will head down to pit road. DJ Stagner going to be second and Boomer Logan going to be third, and now they're going to make their way right back up. Stagner going to now have the race lead, and Patton is going to go down to pit road. Here we go. Brad makes his way in, and DJ Stagner now rides at the top of the charts. Good battle right now for Stagner. Of course, he's up in front on his own, but Gael Brooks and Boomer Logan continue fighting each other for the runner-up position, and it looks like for now, Boomer Logan still has the advantage. .32 laps in out of 80. 3 drivers remain on the board here, and DJ Stagner going to be the leader of which, your defending winner from Atlanta, able to get it done with some of that restart magic. And right now, the number 64 machine, well, he's hung tough, but he's doing things a little bit different, trying to run as long as possible and trying to go until the very last drops of fuel are still in the tank. He's going to see Alan Rawell coming up on him. And right now, Alan is 27th, and so the 27th place driver is now going to outrun DJ Stagner, your leader, into turn number 1, and DJ, he's going to have very little opportunity of fighting back. And the Raging Cajun 64, no choice now but to consider going down a pit road. He's got a substantially slower car than most others on the field. 57.6 seconds flat so far in that last lap, relative to another driver who has already gone out of pit road. Cody Smith ran a 56.2 Nick Tarbuck got a 55.3 just a few times ago, and here comes DJ Stagner for his 33rd lap. Let's see what the call is on the field. If not, if he doesn't go down a pit road, we'll take a ride on board with him for a lap and see what's going on. Let's ride on board now with DJ Stagner, your current race leader, as he tries to stretch the fuel. At the line for DJ Stagner, at time by a 57.625 and more than 2 seconds slower than his overall fastest lap. And you can see right now, very delicate through the corners, not putting a lot of power, and you can see the gas pedal being used sparingly. Gets back on the throttle again through the straightaways, and it looks like now Stagner stretching it longer than all other competitors on the field. And I think now with 35 plus laps on the board, very little choice for him besides going the full 40 and trying to do something different for a stop strategy. For the time being, it's going to be the number 64 machine of Stagner out and ahead by 6 full seconds and 35 laps into his stint, while Boomer Logan has gotten away from Gael Brooks. These two are battling for the better part of 15 plus laps, but it looks like now Boomer has gotten away and everything should be fine. 35 out of 80 for the both of them respectively, and Stagner decides to go down and in, and so does Boomer. This will leave Gael Brooks at the front of the field, and now Gael going to try to go for one more lap here, and he's going to do things different from everyone else. Brooks stretching it the furthest of any driver in this pack. And taking a moment to realize Gael Brooks is now going to go from just about 25th on the order to the race lead in 36 green flag laps, and has now found his way up to the top of the charts, just waiting for a chance to get the race lead. He's gotten it. He'll have that laps led bonus, but now he's got a chance to finally go down to pit road and not have trouble for the rest of the day. He should have to pit for a second time regardless of what he's just done, and he only has a 5-second lead relative to Michael Stroll, so he'll have to give it up eventually, otherwise the lead will be taken from him. And it looks like this time around, Brooks will decide to indeed give it up. Going to be a little bit loose coming into the entry of pit road, but nevertheless, Gael Brooks is now away from pit road. You can see it's going to be Michael Stroll now up and ahead. He's done a great job so far tonight, playing it calm and consistent, and now he's got the track position advantage. You can see the AC Delco number 3 up and ahead in its own world. 1 second ahead currently of Nick Tarbuck. However, Nick has gotten closer lap after lap, second after second. He's been able to gain about a second per lap in the last 10 laps respectively. I think now it's going to be Nick Tarbuck in the perfect position to maybe take that race lead before we hit the halfway marker at lap number 40 here. And additionally speaking, there's more drivers where that came from. Take a look now at Thomas Bressi going down to the inside of Jacob Fife. It's the number 36 right up top, and here comes Thomas Bressi making the pass, and then from there, Braxton Weeks down to the inside. And he's going to make the move as well. The Allen's Art Images number 13 now going to get ahead of Jacob Fife. Fife already on a 20-lap run. His tires are beginning to age relative to his competition. And now Nick Tarbuck getting oh so close to his own. Michael Stroll might have to watch the back end. And right now, the number 29 machine, a quarter of a second out out from taking the race lead. Tarbuck was able to get that commanding start to kick off the night, but the competition today, it has been fierce at the head of the field. We'd have several race leaders, DJ Stagner, Michael Stroll, Nick Tarbuck now taking the race lead right back. We additionally saw Matthew Thunhorse fighting up at the top of the board, and here you have the number 29 making his rounds and going to the outside of Michael Stroll and taking the top spot all to himself. It's now going to be 38 laps in out of 90, make it lap 39. Stroll going to give a little bit of a love tap there to the 29's back end, but it looks like now Michael Stroll has lost the lead, and if it's not permanent, it will be for a long time here, as now Braxton Deweese gets right by Thomas Bressie, and Bressie, the number 24 machine, no choice but to concede, at least temporarily. And we'll see whether or not he does anything about it in the coming moments, of course. There's still a lot of time on the table for Thomas Bressie to respond and react, so we'll see exactly what the decision is that he makes. So far, though, we haven't seen much change. Coming through now with Thomas Bressie holding the fort in the 4th position. JTM going to be 4th and 5th once again. Matthew Thunhorse right now in 5th is going to be only a spot ahead of Blake Gordon, and Gordon has kept Matthew Thunhorse honest all night long. We've seen both of these drivers hanging tough just behind Thomas Bressie, and for Blake Gordon, he's had quite the ride to get to this point in this season. He's had multiple near victory opportunities, both of which, the most notable to DJ Stagner, able to come out with the race win. And otherwise, Blake Gordon has shown his speed at most every circuit, and he's one of those drivers who has been oh so deserving of having a chance to get that race win, but it just hasn't worked. And of course, that's all temporary for the time being, with still more than 10 races remaining in the campaign. But you have to wonder, can Blake Gordon find that magic now as he's trying to make a move by Matthew Thunhorse? We're right on board now with the number 19 as he looks for position number 5. Shifting into 3rd gear here through Trenton, and he's going to use that nice rev matching to get off the corner and get a much nicer run than his contemporary and Matthew Thunhorse, and that's the slight advantage that comes out of it, coming down the straightaway, looking to carry momentum now through the tunnel turn, and using the shifting of gears through 2 of 3 corners. It looks like Gordon is looking for every intricacy for a chance to take these passes. Number 75 of Chuck Sweeting, you find him now in that 13th spot, looking for 12th on Brad Patton. 41 laps in out of 80. We've moved on now to the 40 lap to go marker, halfway down, halfway to go. Nick Tarbuck going to be leading by now 17/10 of a second. Michael Stroll has fallen back into his own little world now for the time being with the 21 lap run. His tires are beginning to age, and they're a little bit older than the drivers behind him, including but not limited to Braxton Deweese in 3rd, Thomas Bressie in 4th, and Matthew Thunhorse then in 5th. Here's Andrew Schaub, the lapper in the number 55, and Andrew so far has not moved out of the way and instead stays exactly where you see him, and Thunhorse is going to have no choice but to cut down to the inside line and make that move rather quickly on the number 55 team that decides to hang up top and get out of everyone's business. Post battle, Rob Ackley, Jacob Fife here. Number 22 machine decides to drop down to the inside line for Domination Intimidation Racing. Looking at a double top 10 in the making here as Rob Ackley decides to cut down low through Milwaukee and now tries to get that nice exit off the corner. It looks like it's now Rob's position, but Jacob Fife hasn't quite given everything he's got. Making it down the front straightaway once again with 38 laps to go. We would like to thank Next Level Racing once more for their continued support live on FTN, and Cody Smith, the brand ambassador for this year and the coming seasons. Next Level Racing provides high-quality sim racing performance products for dedicated sim racers who deserve nothing but the best equipment. Visit Next Level Racing to find out, of course, about the best hardware in the sim racing market. Since 2009, Next Level Racing has been the home for the best sim racers all throughout the world. Visit nextlevelracing.com and use promo code INTEGRITY on checkout for a 10% off discount and we'll return after the following message from our friends at Next Level Racing. Coming back now with a total of 36 laps remaining, Nick Tarbuck is far and away the race leader. Behind him, you're going to see there, Braxton Uis. He's gotten by Michael Stroll, and now Stroll's tires are definitely showing their age. 24 laps of wear so far live on FTN, and Stroll is now going to be the bottom step of the podium. Overall, doing a relatively solid job of maintaining his position and doing a little bit of that damage control, so to speak. But a hill, of course, still has not been the best circumstance. It's one tough hill to climb as the race goes on. Matthew Thunor coming up again on Thomas Bressi, and Blake Gordon still going to be right there with side-by-side battle between Jacob Fife and Brad Patton. Patton able to get the advantage there, and he moves up to 10th as a result. Jacob Fife now slides out of the top 10 rather quickly. Michael Stroll looks to be dropping down to pit road once again with 35 laps to go. His teammate Rob Ackley passes by him, and you can see now the number 33 machine not on the track, but the 3 alone makes it through. Michael Stroll has been one of the best drivers at these big tracks all throughout his Integrity Ignite Series career, and of course, we saw it with his first win at Michigan last year. He came second in Michigan last, of course, time we went there just a few weeks ago, and he's proven to be one of the best drivers at some of the longest circuits, and Pocono comes up right, of course, across his alley. Now, Michael going to get back on the way here, 35 laps to go, and it looks like it's going to be a quick 4-tire stop and nothing out of the ordinary, as we see now the big Hornet's Nest. This will include, but not limit itself to, Justin Morton, Seb Miller, Vinny Tigner, and Ryan McFerrin, with Chad Mikas now leading this pack in 12th, and it looks like the middle of the field continues to battle feverishly. Justin Morton to the inside out of Milwaukee, and it looks like it's going to be all about Chad Mikas getting that momentum and coming down the back straightaway up and ahead with Seb Miller. And they're going to hold fort here. All the while, Chad Mikas decides to keep himself up on the top side, only to drop down low through Trenton, and going to block both lanes here. And it's almost like super speedway style drafting in small packs. You cannot expect everyone to have the same style of braking, same approach to the corners each and every time around. And 34 laps to go, coming down to 33 this time through. The number 25 of Mikas has been able to hang tough here, and you can see through the apex of the corners he'll come down to the bottom with little to no resistance. All the while, Seb Miller has definitely made himself a very strong proponent to the 25, and you can see there Seb able to make it by Justin Morton, and that gets Miller now up into 13th. All the while, Chad Mikas retains his current position and stays exactly where he is there in 12th, only for Miller now to go to the inside line and come across to the bottom. And you can see now the 83 to the inside, and he will make it work, looking for a position, and it looks like Mikas no choice but to give him that room, and we'll see whether or not the high side can come back here for Chad, but it looks like Miller gets the spot rather quickly. Now we look on to the battle once again, Thomas Bressi and Matthew Thunworth. Let's talk about the battle you're seeing right now. Of course, these two drivers have been going at it tooth and nail all night long. More than teammates, they're also competitors night after night. And as we look on to the bottom right of your screen, it's going to be Thomas Bressi. His onboard camera, you can see it once again live on FTN. We have up-to-date, real-time access to Thomas Bressy's webcam, in which he can see exactly what's going on. For the viewer's sake, you can see his point of view. He has a virtual reality headset on, and acting as a webcam display, it's almost like being inserted inside of that cockpit of the Exalta number 24, and Thomas Bressy doing a real good job so far tonight, hanging it in there in the podium, and you can see a lot of head movements back and forth, very subtle, checking out that mirror, but not necessarily mirror driving. Bressy's got to worry about what is ahead of him here, 22 laps in to his stint. He should have about 10 or 15 more left in him. All the while, Matthew Thunor stays right behind, and with 32 laps to go, not much else that Thunors can do, but hope that the next pit cycle is all that's necessary. 32 laps to go from here on out. If a driver goes down a pit road, they would be able to make it to the end of race no matter what. So everyone is now in that safe zone. It all depends on whether or not you want to go down a pit road, which so far, some drivers have chosen not to. Here's Gael Brooks, and he's going to come right up to the back bumper of Boomer Logan once again. These drivers have been battling each other all throughout the night, and now Jacob Fife and Chad Mikas are both going to make their way down and in. And you can see it there. Chad Mikas coming to pit road, as does Jacob Fife, both of which coming together now with 31 laps remaining, and it looks like we are officially now in that home stretch. We made it past the halfway marker of this race, and the final pit window, it's open for tonight. Two-stop strategy is the winning one, but now it just depends on who executes it properly. Nick Tarbuck had an amazing opening stint and able to get that gap out to nearly 2 full seconds, and that's the way it's remained ever since the beginning of the night. And so far, just capitalizing on a great start, and Nick has been able to make it convert to a race victory in the making, so long as he stays calm with 30 laps to go. Let's take a look at your overall running order now with 30 laps remaining. It's going to be Nick Tarbuck leading with Thomas Bressy. Then in third, Braxton Uis finds himself sandwiched between the JTM drivers. Braxton is in second. Matthew Thunors now going to be in fourth, with Blake Gordon in fifth, Rob Ackley sixth, and Don Stevenson is going to be seventh, with position number 8 going to the hard charger of the night in Brad Patton, Cody Smith in ninth, and Chuck Sweeting then in 10th. Once again with Next Level Racing, Cody Smith and company providing, of course, the highest quality sim racing performance products, and 2022 champion Cody Smith, the brand ambassador here for Next Level Racing, and we hope you check out the website for the official Integrity Racing League premier partner. We could not run these races without their continued support. If you're watching live on FTN right now, 29 laps to go in the Long Pond 200, and we will return after the following message, courtesy of Next Level Racing. And so now Cody Smith going to decide to come down a pit road and drop in all by himself. 28 laps to go this time by, as does Matthew Thunhorst. Pit cycle, it continues. And you can see now the field is getting locked in for their final cycle. Most of the leaders have not yet come down and in, deciding to stretch it a little bit longer, expecting some runs to go 5 or 6 laps more at the very minimum. Tarbuck remains the race leader. 2/10 back, it's going to be Rob Ackley here with Blake Gordon. And you can see the 4th and 5th fight is going to progress. Quarter of a second right now. Blake Gordon still having the advantage. And number 22 machine for Rob Ackley, well, he's done a pretty good job so far of just staying But for a top 5 run, he's got to do a little bit more than stay behind. He's got to go into full attack mode. He'll come down to pit road this time by and get readied up for his final bout. And Blake Gordon going to take at least a lap or 2 more to prepare himself for a time down to pit road, which will be very, very soon. The field is anticipating their run to pit road in just a few laps' time. Close battles all throughout the track, and now Vinny Tigner coming up again on Justin Morton should be able to look down to the inside line. And it looks like now Justin Morton able to break away through turn 1. Momentum down that front straightaway, the Long Pond Straight, one of the longest in all of oval stock car racing. And here for Vinny Tigner, he stays just behind as we're going to enter the tunnel turn once again. Gap between these two drivers as they fight for 8th is about a quarter of a second, and they're coming up on the lapper and Andrew Schaub. Andrew right now going to be in the number 55, 2 laps down so far in 27th of 28 running drivers. Only one retiree in Forrest Smith so far tonight. Rest of the field has been able to make it through this race successfully with minimal error to this point. It has been a fantastic event for long green flag racing and intense racing that has not had to deal with attrition for the most part, as now it's going to be Blake Gordon and Thomas Bresci coming right together into pit road and going for perhaps some synchronized stops here in the later going. It's going to now lead us to about 10 drivers still remaining at the front of the field who have decided not to come down and in. Vinny Tigner, one of which he's still behind Matthew Thunhorst, and it looks like still behind Justin Morton. Brian McFerrin now within 0.3 of a second of the rookie in the number 12, and we'll see what Vinny can do here, hanging tough in the number 12 machine. We're just a few days away from our first Saturday night race of SNT this season, and the Saturday Night Thunder Series returns. Xfinity cars on Saturday night live on FTN. Vinny Tigner doing a fantastic job so far as the potential Rookie of the Year favorite so far in the Ignite Series. Well, he's a race winner in the SNT Tour, and he's looking to go perhaps for his first ever championship. Find out a little bit more by watching live on Saturday nights exclusively on FTN as Braxton Weiss comes down to pit road. Morton and Brian McFerrin make their way through as well. 25 to go here, and they'll push themselves down with Nick Tarbuck still advantageous in the final 25 laps. Tarbuck due to come down next with Don Stevenson and Brad Patton second and third. Tarbuck makes his way in now in that number 29, and Don Stevenson gonna usurp him and take the race lead as the placeholder driver at the front of the pack. 24 laps remaining now for Don as he makes his way by the number 29 team, and Stevenson is advantageous now going toe-to-toe against Ryan Potter. Potter is due to go 1 lap down right now, currently running in 23rd, and it looks like tonight the strategy has escaped him. Several seconds slower on both pit stops, and last time by running 44 seconds through pit lane relative to the rest of the field. That was the slowest stop on the cycle. That was not an extensive stop for any additional damage, and so Ryan Potter evidently not having a lot of success on pit road, and it looks like that has translated to some significant struggles all throughout the night. DJ Stagner right now, his teammate, though, on the other side of the coin, finds himself inside of the top 5 battle, although that's due to a lot of that pit cycle finesse, because Stagner had an even worse pit stop of 53 seconds last time he was on pit road, and that took him out of race-winning contention effectively, and now he's trailing behind Gael Brooks and Boomer Logan respectively, as Brad Patton now decides to come down to pit road with 23 laps remaining. Don Stevenson going to be up at the head of the field right now, and it looks like he is all alone with that top spot. As we come around this time by, we're going to crank it up with 22 laps to go. And as always, live on FTN, we're going to crank it up with the best camera providers on iRacing, track cams for gourmets. Over 100 car and track options and combinations for every discipline of racing. Visit trackcams22.com or facebook.com/trackcams for iRacing's best cameras, which the best broadcasters all throughout the iRacing community choose and prefer to this day. We're coming to 22 laps to go this time by, and so it's time for things to get loud here from the virtual Pocono Raceway. Let's crank it up with 22 laps to go. Yellow flag is out for the first time tonight with 20 laps to go. Caution will fly, and we're going to find out the reason being at the back end of the field. Crank it up, going to temporarily come to the close here that you're seeing on your screen. Everyone going to back it down here as the yellow flag is out for the first time tonight. Looks like Alan Rawell going to be puttering down to the inside here, and we're going to figure out the official cause of yellow. Let's take it back right now and find out just what happened for our first yellow flag of the day. 61 laps out of 80. There's Alan Rawell as he came by. You can see the majority of the field able to keep things nice and clean. However, the yellow flag came out just after that point. Now, it looks like Rawell going to be down at pit road. Andrew Schaub was previously running, and he was one lap down at that point, and it looks like no trouble for the 55 crew as caution was called on the racing circuit. Boomer Logan slowing down, as was Brandon Bernhardt, and you can see all throughout the track, everyone getting themselves settled in after the yellow flag called, and majority of the field looked to be just fine. So caution is out as we're taking a look back to find out what was the cause there, and it looks like the majority of the pack coming out just fine. Perhaps an incident on pit road might have brought that one out, and so as you look around at the field here, most drivers have been able to get away from it regardless of instance, and it looks like we should be good to clean up and go back racing this time by. Field going to be getting a free pit stop this time through, though. You can see now coming down and in, it's going to be 20 laps to go. Benny Tigner leads the field in for an unexpected pit cycle here. 20 laps remaining, and this will be the third and final pit stop for many drivers who have come now together. $19 to go now. 4 tires and fuel might be the expected strategy call for most, but we will see what happens right now, as it's going to be the number 71 machine of Gael Brooks making his way out, but it looks like Vinny Tigner now with the advantage as everyone rushes off the pit road. Tigner now going to have the track position, and it's clear as day. Vinny Tigner wins off pit road. Then it's going to be an advantage immediately after to Michael Stroll, Gael Brooks, Rob Ackley. Then it's going to be Nick Tarbuck, Braxton Deweese, Blake Gordon, and DJ Stagner, and then on out as drivers get themselves settled in with 19 laps to go. We're just a few moments away from bringing it back green. The overall leader is Matthew Thunhorst, and Vinny Tigner's the winner off pit road, and we will return with live coverage for the green flag racing once we return live on FTN. You won't miss a thing, though, with FTN non-stop coverage, and we'll bring you back with full action once the green flag drops in just 2 laps time. We'll return after the following message from all our FTN sponsors and associates, and we'll come back with less than 20 laps to go here in the Long Pond 200 after these messages.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Now just about a half a lap of pacing to go. It's going to be Matthew Thunhorst taking the top side and his teammate in Thomas Bresci taking it to the bottom. JTM advantageous here, and it looks like they've only got a few drivers of buffer to work with right behind him. Overall, 8 drivers going back to Don Stevenson have decided instead to stay out rather than going down a pit road, and that will leave Vinny Tigner and company as the first drivers to go down and in, recover track position, and now go for the victory against those at the head of this pack. We'll figure out whether or not that's the right call here with Thomas Bresci at the head of the pack here down low, and Matthew Thunhorst, the control car, up top. Now, the iRacing official pace car will only have one more turn to go until the field is let back in the hands of the number 8, Matthew Thunhorst. Drivers are setting up for their first restart of this race all night long. Quick caution brings us back to life here, and it's going to be number 24 of Thomas Bresci going head-to-head with his teammate, the race leader, Matthew Thunhorst, right up top. Green flag's going to fly now. Thunhorst gets the advantage. It's our first restart of the night, and with 18 laps to go, Thunhorst holds the fort and takes the advantage in a 1. Right now, it's going to be Matthew Thunhorst at the head of the field, leading his teammate in Thomas Bresci. Cody Smith is now up to 3rd, the highest spot he's running all night long. Justin Morton, in addition, now with the 8-lap set of tire he has the advantage over most drivers who decided to stay out, and so he'll get by Jacob Fife rather quick. Now you're beginning to look at the drivers who got on that younger set of rubber, and they're looking to make some noise now as well. Take a look at Vinny Tigner. As you can see, that number 12 now going to be just ahead of Boomer Logan. Up next, his next target is going to be Jacob Fife, and trying to take down these drivers one lap, one spot at a time. Not going to be easy, but still, Tigner holds fort, and Vinny might be setting himself up for a route to his first career victory. Not if Rob Ackley can say anything about it, and now Rob looks down to the inside, taking it to the bottom, and he's now trying to get that top spot, in this strategy anyway, to his own number 22. Vinny Tigner going to run just high and come out just clear. Rob is going to try to take it through the tunnel turn, but cannot make it happen. And as a result, Vinny's now going to have himself a few hundredths of a second in edge, as it's going to be now Jacob Fife choking him up on the top side, and Tigner is getting boxed. Side by side now, it's going to be Rob Ackley looking low into Trenton, and Jacob Fife is still hanging up high. Hasn't shown any signs of trying to block Rob Ackley into the corner. He is clear to do so, though, and Ackley nevertheless will get the advantage. It's not clear cut just yet, but Jacob Fife is clearly slower. And you can see there just what happens when a slower driver is up and ahead. Now the entirety of this little pack has gotten bottlenecked and it's become a much bigger pack. Fife sending a group of 5 drivers into a group of 10 and making about a 15 driver mess here as they're all going back and forth and shuffling each other up and down for position. It's clear as day Jacob Fife does not have the stuff to go all the way and win this race, at least in the circumstance that he's in. And so, Fife is going to go right up top, and he's going to make sure that he's got a little bit of room up there to get some nice run down the long pond straightaway. But that's all he can muster, at least for the time being, and we can't anticipate any more to come of it now with 14 laps to go. Braxton Deweese right now, the number 13, will look down to the inside on Jacob Fife. That's going to be a move for the 8th position now, and Jacob is dropping back. And it looks like he's going to continue doing so, now falling out of the top 10 with Vinny Tigner still battling him, and it's going to be Rob Ackley now, of all the drivers on a new set of rubber, trying to lead that charge up and in to get to the race lead. Matthew Thunhorst is going to be the top driver, Thomas Bressie going to be second, and Cody Smith in third, with Patton fourth and Justin Morton then in fifth. Fifth spot for Justin Morton right now. He's going to hold by only about a quarter of a second, and you can see with 14 laps to go and still counting down the top 2 drivers, they are coming closer and closer, and Thomas Bressie looks low, and he's got himself the race lead going to the bottom side. Exalted number 24 now at the head of the field. Thomas Bressie gonna end up in the wall, and Bressie's gonna smack the wall with some right side damage, and now your front runner immediately gonna make a mistake, and his teammate is coming right up to him. Now Matthew Thunhorst, seeing the mistake made by Bressie, having a chance to strike back. Here we have it, Thunhorst and Bressie going back to it toe to toe, and the number 8 machine now is right on board with Matthew Thunhorst. We'll see what he does with this opportunity for the race win. He's gonna have to fight the 24, his teammate, to get it done. "69 laps in. A very nice run so far for the number 8 of Matthew Thunhorst, but it's not going to be enough to go up against Brad Patton. Here comes Patton going down to the inside, and the 07 machine makes it through. Almost a slide job through Trenton, and now it's going to be Patton up to second, looking for a victory here from the mid-20s on the grid. Patton, the hard charger, is looking to do it all over again. Patton now going to be only 1/10 of a second back on Thomas Bressie with a younger set of rubber and less damage. Brad is here, and he is now 12 laps to go with a long pond 200, and Thomas Bressie now is all on defense. Patton looking low to Trenton. Nothing now that Thomas Bressing can do. He's going to have to give that room up to the 0-7. They're going to be side by side. No contacts just yet. And Patton going to come out of the corner with a head full of steam, working his way now into the tunnel turn. Brad Patton looking to the inside right now, and Thomas Bressing going to be right up top, neck and neck going into 2 here, and into the Indianapolis corner. Once again, Bressy doesn't have the momentum on the high side. A new race leader, Brad Patton, coming up to the top of the board after 70 laps. Patton wasn't up there through the first 30, 40, 50, nor 60, but he's here now, and Brad Patton is advantageous, coming to the line again for what will be 10 laps to go. Hornets nest in the back of the field here. DJ Stagner, Justin Morton, among others, battling each other 2 by 2 all over again. It's now going to be Tigner and Cody Smith right alongside each other, and it's now going to be Nick Tarbuck looking to make it 3 wide. He can't make it stick. Blake Gordon now going to try to go down to the inside in the Next Level Racing number 18. He's right there too. DJ Stagner, Nick Tarbuck all amongst each other now, and Tarbuck finds himself in the back of the pack. Take a look on board. We got big contact. Matthew Thunhorst is destroyed. Yellow flag is out, and the number 8 is done for. Matthew Thunhorst goes spinning like a top. It's the big one at Pocono. Matthew Thunhorst destroyed, and the yellow flag is out. Here's the instant replay. We'll figure out what happened. And it looks like Thunhorst into DeWeese, then coming right back down, hooking into the track and coming up. And then Boomer Logan ending up spinning, and you can see billowing smoke. Brandon Bernhardt also catching a piece on his own. And Boomer Logan ending up with major damage as well. Matthew Thunhorst, small contact goes a big way in the wrong direction, and Thunhorst is going to lose out on a major points night with 9 laps to go. The yellow flag is out, and Thunhorst is destroyed. He's no longer going to be fighting for the race lead, and instead, Brad Patton now, less than 10 laps to go, finds himself up in front. Nine laps to go this time by. We are not expecting to see pit road be busy once again, and so 8th place Cody Smith is where our attention lies. Smith has had a fantastic night so far, and he's looking to hold off on some admittedly worn rubber. It's not the newest in this service by any means, not the newest in this session anyway. 19 laps of age here, and he's decided to go a little bit longer than most of his competitors, but we'll tell you this much: Cody Smith is doing it in style with Next Level Racing, providing the championship prize for the Integrity and Octane Series champions, of course, for both the Ignite and Octane Series. Next Level Racing provides high-quality sim racing performance products for dedicated sim racers who deserve nothing but the best. Visit nextlevelracing.com as we're going to go to our final promotional break of the day and bring you your final messages courtesy of Next Level Racing. Coming back now, live 8 laps to go. Pit road was somewhat busy, but most drivers decided to stay out. Rob Ackley, number 22, Michael Stroll, Braxton DeWeese, they are 1, 2, 3 right now, with Blake Gordon there in 4th. And overall, Ackley now has an opportunity to seal the deal. He decides to stay out with his Domination Intimidation Racing teammate, Michael Stroll, both looking to risk it all. We will see whether or not these risky plays come out to be the proper plays. Ackley right now at the head of the field, and it looks like he's now up there for the first time all night long. Solid in qualifying, has had decent race pace, but nothing extraordinary so far, and that's the catch. Can he pull off the extraordinary and win tonight? Still to be determined. 8 laps to go, coming to 7 this time by. We should get the signal to go 1 lap to green, and everyone will get double filed all over again. Seven laps to go. Rob Ackley to the bottom, Michael Stroll up top. Braxton Deweese going to be in third, and Blake Gordon going to be then and there in fourth on the high side. And it's going to be a 6-lap dash, if anything here, if we stay green. Once again, like to thank the chat room tonight for stopping by. Abraham Pinson, Chris Deweese, Doug Mittendorf, and all those who have been tuning in all night long. This is it. If we have a yellow flag, we will be heading immediately into overtime territory, and the race will be extended to have a green-white checkered finish. So we've gotten to the point of no return. This is your second and potentially final caution of the night. And now, Rob Ackley and Michael Stroll. Just a few laps ago, it seemed like they had next to no chance to win. They're up here, and they are looking for a chance to get it done regardless of the expectations. They made it happen. And look at them now. 7 laps to go. Let's go back to the racing here with the iRacing pace cars saying goodbye and potentially good night. It's Stroll up top, Ackley down low. And as we go through Milwaukee, every driver getting settled in and getting prepared for what is due to be chaos here in the Northeast. 2 teammates on the front row. And still a litany of teams and teammates looking to make it work in the back of the field. Keep your eyes peeled for drivers like Nick Tarbuck, Chad Mikas. How about a little bit further back, guys like Thomas Bresci and Matthew Thunhorse? They all have friends to work with. And now the iRacing official pace car goes away with 6 laps to go. Ackley gets the jump, gets the green flag. We're back on the move with 6 laps remaining. It's a 6-lap sprint to the checkered flag. Nearly 4 wide already. Blake Gordon will make it 4. Nick Tarbuck to the bottom side. Caution's out. Yellow flag's out. Back of the field. Multiple drivers destroyed. Justin Morton is one of them. And so we are headed to overtime as a result. Here's the instant replay on what just happened. Andrew Schaub is going to be there into 97, and it looks like Andrew was a lapper who was with the field here. If we're looking at it correctly, or rather, he stayed out, and that's what caused the trouble. Schaub has been a lapper for the majority of the day, and yet he had a chance at the head of the field. Let's take the film back one more time here as we're going to look on the number 55. Andrew looks like he checked up, and simply put, as he does so, Brad Patton into Andrew Schaub. Then the 97 of Anthony Cortina. Vinny Tigner is destroyed, and that will be his race. Don Stevenson comes away slow, and after a further evaluation, that was not Andrew Schaub's fault, but it looks like contact with Brad Patton did him in. The yellow flag is out nevertheless here with 5 laps remaining. Rob Ackley, number 22. Advantageous here with 76 laps in the books, and once again pit road somewhat busy with the 55 and his company, but taking a look at the leaders, there's Rob Ackley. He's out in the way as the iRacing official pace car is due to have the field catch up to it. Tell you this much, it looks like another minor extension here, so we'll be right back after a little bit more non-stop coverage on FTN. Current race leader, Rob Ackley, and you won't miss a thing as we'll return to explain our overtime procedure here in the Integrity Ignite series. You're watching the Long Pond 200, and we're getting set for some overtime action in the Poconos.
This message is brought to you by the rebrand of Throttle Graphics and Designs. This publication may not be reposted without the authorized written consent of Throttle Graphics and Designs. NASCAR Camping World Ford F-150. NASCAR Xfinity Ford Mustang. NASCAR Cup Series Next-Gen Ford Mustang. Arca Menards. This has been the publication of the redesign and rebranding of Throttle Graphics and Designs. This message may not be reposted, republicated, or rebroadcasted without the authorized written consent of Throttle Graphics and Designs. Thank you, and thanks for your time.
Boundless makes its presence felt. It will not be ignored. We're helping turn ideas into reality with a wealth of building products that take every architectural style to the next level. This is what it's like to imagine, build, and transform anything we want into exactly what we seek. This is what it means to be boundless.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head to head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
And so now 3 laps remain here. Yellow flag is out, and it will be a natural green-white checkered. So if the yellow flag flies at any point before the white flag falls, we will extend this race up to 3 times. This is a natural green-white checkered, which means the race has not been extended. And so as a result, we have a lot of time to play with here. This is not an extension. The race will end at lap 80, and if we get to the white flag at all, this race will be concluded no matter if we get checkers or wreckers or anything in between. And now it's the domination, intimidation racing drivers of Rob Ackley and Michael Stroll looking for the checkered flag. Michael is not yet found at this season, and we mentioned he's been an ace at these big tracks. Meanwhile, Rob Ackley, his teammate, has gotten it done, and tonight we might be in for another stunner between these two drivers. Take a look-see, and you'll see there's a Blake Gordon right behind who is looking for victory, and he was oh so close last week. It would be redemption, of course, for him to come back from second to DJ Stagner. Again, a heartbreak against the 64 to win again tonight, this time in a prime position. Michael Stroll looking to lock himself up for the playoff picture with a win here. Rob Ackley up top with a substantially better jump. Green flags out, and it's going to be Ackley leading the way right next to Michael Stroll. Michael's got the advantage, and now as they come down out of Trenton and Indianapolis, they will go to with the domination, intimidation racing drivers first and second. Looking at now on board with Blake Gordon. He finds himself behind the top 2 drivers in the field, knowing he has no help. But what he's got now, he's got the tenacity. Going down to the inside on Rob Ackley. This will be the battle for second, and it'll lead us to the white flag. If we get there, this race will be over and official no matter what. Gordon now to second. Chuck Sweeting up top, looking to make up several positions now in the middle of the field. White flag is out. One more lap remains, and so drivers come across the line in tandem, and it is time to finish the job at the head of the pack. Michael Stroll going through turn 1. He's got the race lead, and he'll take it through Trenton quite easily. It was a slide job maneuver for Blake Gordon. He got the momentum coming out of 1 and made the pass through 2. Big contact in the back of the field. Everyone stays straight, and now Gordon has no choice but to go as hard as he can on the attack mode against Michael Stroll. Michael still to win so far this season. He's had to come back through physical circumstances out of his control. In February, he wasn't even able to turn the steering wheel, and now he'll turn it for the final time. Coming through turn 3, Blake Gordon right behind him. The checkered flag will fall here in Pennsylvania, and the number 3 of Michael Stroll wins from Pocono. The Long Pond 200 goes to Michael Stroll. What a redemption. What a recovery. Stroll is back in victory lane, and that all but locks up his chances to make it to the playoffs in just one fantastic performance. His third podium, his first win of 2024, Michael Stroll in the second week running of overtime finishes tonight. The 3 is victorious. What a way to win it. Teammates right by him making the perfect strategy calls, and you can never expect a yellow flag, but tonight for the entire Domination Intimidation Racing team, they played that circumstance to a T. Double podium with Rob Ackley, and for Michael Stroll, he's taking it all in now. DIR is a team with more than 2 decades of experience here in iRacing. And for Michael Stroll, each year that passes is all the more special. Still as competitive as he was when he started, Stroll has done it again. And what a way to come out with a checkered flag, as he'll now make it down to the start-finish line and make it happen on top of the charts. Stroll parking it now down to the inside of what was mini victory lane. He's looking to burn down the house here and give the fans a showing. And instead gets back on the roll for what could be a Polish victory lap here to finish off the night. Let's take a look at your race results as Michael Stroll is going to take his time celebrating a fantastic victory ahead of Blake Gordon, 2/10 back. It's going to be Rob Ackley then in 3rd and Nick Tarbuck in 4th, with Chad Michelson 5th and Thomas Bresci position number 6. It's then going to be Chuck Sweeting 7th and Cody Smith in 8th, with 9th place going to Jacob Fife and Sebastian Miller position number 10 at the line. And 11th spot on the order, it's going to be the number 71 of Gael Brooks, and Braxton DeWeese going to be 12th. 13th is going to be Ryan Potter, and Alan Rawell going to be 14th tonight, with Brian McFerrin 15th, and Vinny Tigner position number 16. Don Stevenson going to be 17th, and Justin Morton 18th, with Brandon Bernhardt 19th, and Brad Patton 20th. And the final drivers go as follows, with Anthony Cortina 21st, Kyle Cooper 22nd, and DJ Stagner 23rd, Andrew Schaub 24th, and Boomer Logan 25th, 8 laps down. Your retirees from here on out: Matthew Thunhorst, Adam Wood, Cal Filarski, and Forrest Smith. With the exception of one driver, everyone else in the field made it to the halfway marker, and 95% of the field made it within 10 laps of the checkered flag. It was an incredible race, not only with the green flag running, but with the excitement at the very end. And it is a deserved opportunity to celebrate tonight for Michael Stroll. He has come quite a long way this season, and coming back from missing the start of this entire championship race. And you might remember he was in the broadcast booth with us for the duels, unsure if he would even make it back in time to become a competitive driver. And he's going to be joining us in the booth again for a completely different reason, and it's a good one. He's back in victory lane as he was last season. Michael Stroll gets the job done. And it looks like still taking his time here to figure things out. And there we have it, a little bit of a burnout. And coming right by the Long Pond straightaway again, we're going to get a word from Michael Stroll and all the team that got it done tonight in Domination Intimidation Racing. Checkered flag is out, and Stroll continues his celebration. And this one going to mean so much more as a redemption night for Michael Stroll, and waiting to find himself off the bubble. I think he just made his way firmly into title contention with that. He's going to be parking it at the start-finish line here, and let's bring in your race winner for tonight's event. It's been a long time coming for the 3-team this year, and if there's any doubt about making it now to the playoff picture, Michael, this is the night that silences the doubters. Back on top in victory lane here in Pocono. How does it feel coming home with the checkered flag in a Long Pond 200?
It feels real good, David. I don't want to sound whatever, but that was the first time I actually cried after a sim race, just because of everything I've been through these last about 8 months in my personal life. I just want to shout out to my team, Nick Terrabuck in the 29, Chad Mikas in the 25, and Rob Ackley in the 22. We all worked super well together tonight with different strategies and stuff, and it just worked out. I think we're all in the top 5 here. Yeah, and that's amazing. I think Rob regrets maybe taking the top, or even regrets counting me down, but just an overall great night. That should leapfrog me and lock me into the clash or the playoffs or whatever we're calling it. I'm just super stoked. When the playoff bracket came out during the week, I was like, wow, I'm 50 points out. I got some work to do, and the only way I felt like I could really do it was win one of these next 5 races, and to come out here and do it in my home track, because I live in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania, about an hour from the racetrack, and just to put it all together, it just feels great, and just a huge sigh of relief. And I know it's just a video game, but any kind of success in life, when you are down and get beat up, or in my case, get hit by cars and have your wife leave you and divorce you, and have everything get turned upside down, to have your buddies have your back and have half the field congratulate you, because they all know the shit I've been through. Sorry, don't dock me 25 points for that, but just overall, the respect I got after the checkers, I couldn't even hold it together. And sim racing is a brotherhood, and I know I'm not the only one that sim racing has pulled themselves out of a hole, like I have. So hopefully this is a sign of things to come for my life, actually, and things are looking up, and just real stoked just to get the job done. I've been knocking on the door these last couple of weeks, so I've been real upset if I finished second again, but here we are, victory lane, locked in. Now I'm ready to give him hell.
You know, we were talking about how you were in the broadcast booth with us to kick off the season, and we wondered whether or not there would be a chance to see you here in this position, even get into the playoff picture, let alone be competitive. And before we even discuss the implications there, tonight, you and Rob Ackley making things happen for Domination Intimidation Racing and playing the strategy to a T. As chaotic and unexpected as it got, you guys seem to be in the right position all throughout. What led you there to that sort of frame of mind to get in such a position to go out there and win?
I think over the last 2 months, the 4 of us have really gelled and helped each other out, and I think the results show for that. Good job with Chad. You know, he had an awful night and squeezed a top 5 out of it. He has just been there all season, and this is the first time the entire team's been in top 5. I'm just super proud to have these guys on this team and have my back throughout this whole thing. The different strategies, you know, Nick had the field covered with pace, and he got behind on the strategy with the way the yellows fell. And you know, I think Jacob was upset with me with some of the moves I was making early on, and I was driving in a way that I usually don't drive, by taking it through wide and putting people in bad positions to gain an advantage. I usually don't do that, and I felt like I just said, to hell with it. You know, I have to, and I'm confident enough in these guys that we have in this league to handle it. And overall, I think we all took care of each other. There were some moments in that race I know that the entire field could have wrecked. So if anybody's watching that's not racing this series, you saw what we can do. You know, signups are open. 2025 is around the corner. Sign up. This is a great group of guys. We would love to add more people like this, and build on this league. But I just feel real good. Seems like a freaking pipe dream that I won this race. And I felt like I could win this race, but then I qualified like crap and really had to use up my stuff early on to get through the field, and then just use strategy to leapfrog some guys, and just the cautions fell right. I know Rob is kicking himself, but I've been racing with Rob for over 20 years, since NR03. He's my dude. I hope I can meet him one day. But what really sealed his fate was when he counted me down 3, 2, 1, go. Braxton gave me a shove between 1 and go, and it gave me that edge into turn 1, and I was gone. I felt bad when I cleared him. Like, man, I asked him to count me down, and I just beat his ass. But they're all happy for me. I'm happy for this team. We're ready to win a championship. One of us, anyway.
And it looks like tonight, perhaps a sign of things to come, and a great sign at that. First, third, fifth for the entire DRIR team. And we're going international next week. I'm sure it's going to be unexpected for everyone. But now, with such a weight off your shoulders here for this entire series and this team, what do you think's up next with the Red Bull Ring?
I think all 4 of us are just kind of looking to get through that. At least I am. Rob, Nick, and Chad are way better than I am on road courses. But the tracks that come after that, I think it's Kansas, Indianapolis, and Richmond. We all have a shot to win one of those races. So this is really good momentum going into the Clash playoffs and stuff. And I think you're really going to see some really good stuff on Monday nights here for yourself and your broadcast team, David. You do a great job. This league is awesome. I'm just really happy and overcome with a lot of emotion right now. So I want to cut you off so I can go talk to my boys. And I wish I had some beer, but water will have to do.
Well, just like that, Michael Stroll, you've come back, and the doubt has been completely silenced. Victory lane here at the Pocono Raceway, and it's going to be a win worth remembering here for all of the DIR team. Thank you once again for stopping by.
Thank you. And I was so distraught. I couldn't even do a proper burnout. That's how ugly I was on camera. Go get the second place guy. Go interview Blake. I know he took a shot at me in turn 3. He tried to anyway, but I'm sure he's happy with his good run because he's had some shit luck this year too. So I'm cut you loose. Thanks, David.
There we have it. Michael Stroll going to get on the way, and we're going to bring him back to his team. What a win it is. When we mentioned the circumstances going in, this is a win, perhaps one of the most unexpected, because it puts him directly in the cards to fight for a championship alongside his team, who all finished in the top 5, a triple top 5. But tonight, for Endeavor Racing, I gotta say, on the flip side of this coin, Blake Gordon, you're back in the same spot in a totally different race. Second place again at the line, and another one that just slipped away, huh?
I mean, honestly, I can't even say it slipped away. I was never in the lead. Nick had the field covered. Things got a little bit weird there at the end with the yellows and the strategy. But yeah, I'll take a top 2. Felt like I was probably a 5th or 6th best car maybe tonight, and kind of found myself up there at the front when it mattered. And yeah, I'll take 2 top 2s to start the back half of the year. And congrats to Stroll for pulling this off tonight. That was a good win. Listen to his interview just now. I know how much that means to him. So I was super happy to see him get it done.
And tonight, the number 19 crew running about the 5th or 6th spot the majority of the day, and on strategy and pace, you seem to be thereabouts. But you mentioned things got a little bit different at the very end there, and you had to adapt quickly to make these spots up and eventually have a chance at the podium. Most of the night was relatively calm for this team, but when the cautions came out, the switch flipped. So what was it out there that maybe made all the difference for you?
Honestly, the car drove really well. It was pretty neutral to free. On fresh tires, which is definitely my wheelhouse. So I felt like I could really push the car and get as much out of it as I could. But honestly, tonight was one of the most fun races I've had in a long time. Like, there were so many different strategies working. You could really drive the car. You could race hard. You never knew what was going to happen, because I think there was like 3 or 4 different strategies working out midway through the race. And my teammate and I, Brandon, were just trying to figure out which one was the right one. And yeah, the yellow definitely made it interesting, but I think if it had gone green, it would have been still a really good race, because I have no idea who had it right. It would have been really interesting to see.
And we didn't really get much of that green flag run at the end, but I'll tell you this much, I thought there was a chance for this team, and of course you yourself out there driving, for a chance to get the victory. You made that nice sliding pass down on Rob Ackley, and you seem to have the momentum coming out of that corner. Maybe give a fight there to Michael Stroll. You think there was any chance for you on that last lap, or was it just running in second as the goal there?
Yeah, I don't think so. I was pretty tight coming out of one, and I had a really good turn two, and I was getting close. If I was any closer, maybe, but if I wasn't already, I think doing anything to stroll in three, like any type of like Mayfield type move, would have definitely made me the most hated dude in the league. So I'm glad I wasn't far enough away to even like consider it. But yeah, yeah, the last restart was interesting. I was surprised when Rob took the top, and then I had to block my ass off when he was behind me coming to the white. So glad I didn't get shipped into one on the last lap. But yeah, it was super fun. It was such a fun race all night.
And another fantastic race, 2 consecutive podium finishes, and the momentum is red hot now for this number 19 crew, and the FedEx Express machine going to have to ship itself all the way over to the Red Bull Ring. Up next, another road course race at one of our most exciting tracks. It's always a bit of a wild card race, so what's it going to take maybe to keep the good times rolling here and maybe keep on fighting to get higher and higher in the championship points?
Probably me calling out sick on my overtime at work. I unfortunately won't be making the Red Bull ring race next week, which is a shame. I love that track a lot. Had a lot of fun there last time we ran, but a little bit short at work, and I got scheduled OT, and I'll be there instead of racing next week. But good luck to everyone, and hopefully it's a good race.
And we're, of course, looking forward to what's next on the table for the entire series. And Blake, 2 great runs here. Unfortunately, going to have to take that week off. But all things considered, second place here in Pocono. If you have any final shout-outs you'd like to give, well, make sure to let us know.
Yeah, man. Same to you props to you again for doing the broadcast admins, including the new one, Brandon. Pretty cool. Thanks to them as always for putting on the show. Thanks to everyone again in the race, because it was some really good racing tonight. Like Stroll said, it could have gone sideways so many times, but we kept together, and that's what this place is all about. So hats off to everyone in the race tonight, and I'll see you all again in 2 weeks.
There we have it. Blake Gordon, runner-up spot here in the Long Pond 200. 2 consecutive second-place finishes, and we thank you for your time.
All right, man. Have a good night. We'll talk to you later.
And Blake Gordon going to be on his way. One more driver to speak to, and once again, DIR, first, third, fifth. And tonight, Rob Ackley comes through on the podium, right there with Michael Stroll until the very end tonight, Rob. And a top 3 finish is what you come out with here from Long Pond, Pennsylvania. Overall, very solid race for the 22 team, and you had the pace through and through to make it stick. A little bit of that strategy finesse. How you feeling after this one?
Oh, I'm pretty happy with it. I can't complain. I mean, obviously we wanted to get the win there, but can't complain about a top 3. Strategy kind of fell our way there with a couple of the cautions, and we just didn't pull it off.
Just a few spots away from making it all happen there. What happened, of course, at the very end we saw was sticking to some different plans with those cautions. You and Michael Stroll stuck together and decided to stay out a little bit longer, which seemed to be the winning decision rather than getting new tires. What led you both to that one is what I'd like to understand, is it seems like both of you timed this out almost perfectly to go for the 1-2 based on that call.
Oh, honestly, I'm not sure, because it seemed like all of us teammates had a different strategy tonight. I kind of thought the way the race was going that we might have had a 15-lap run to the end there when I took my tires. I was kind of hoping we were going to leapfrog past the guys that had stayed out. And then when we had the late caution, all those guys pit, and it kind of cycled us to the front.
And cycled out at the very end of this one, and it came down to what we saw on that restart there. Stroll getting the edge and clearing, and it ended up being you and Blake Gordon fighting for the second position, but you were still comfortably third to end off the night. It seems like the pace was there with you all night long, from 8th to 3rd, so qualifying was solid and the pace was well-rounded. And discussing the track tonight, we were hearing something about the setup being quite loose with the way the track was driving, with a little bit more of that warmth in it. Was it easy to handle when it comes to how the track was all night long, or were there any difficulties in particular?
Oh, it was pretty loose first 5-6 laps of a run, and then it kind of tightened up. After about 15 laps, we started shifting into third gear. It kind of helped it turn a little bit better and get a better run down the straightaway. It took me about half the race to really figure out, a good race pace to keep up with some of the faster guys.
And it looks like using those gears, shifting back and forth at what's often called the road course of oval racing. Next week, we're going to a true road course in the Red Bull Ring, and we've seen that, in all honesty, while maybe not one of the big three of road course racing, you've given these drivers some good chances to fight against you for top 5 and top 10 positions frequently at road course tracks. So maybe an opportunity for another chance at the twists and turns in victory lane.
Yeah, we'll have to see. I have never turned a lap on that track before, so I'm going to have to do a little bit of work this week, and I've been trying to get better at my road course stuff lately, so we'll see where it shakes out. You're going to have those 2 or 3 guys that probably smoke the field like usual, but maybe we can wind up somewhere around the top 5.
And hopefully, eyes out for another top 5 finish after a podium today. Rob Ackley concluding the podium here in Pocono. If you have any final shout-outs or messages you'd like to give, the floor is yours.
Let's give a shout out to all the teammates on Domination Intimidation Racing. We had 4 of us in the top 5 tonight, and just hopefully we can keep it rolling going into the playoffs.
And hoping to see that momentum stay alive here as we move closer and closer to the end of the regular season. Rob Ackley, 3rd on the day. We thank you for your time.
Yep, appreciate it.
And so Ackley going to get on the move to kick off, of course, next week at the Red Bull Ring. First, we're going to have to admittedly come to a close here tonight. Rob Ackley in 3rd, Blake Gordon in 2nd, and Michael Stroll back in victory lane. 1-3-5 for the Domination Intimidation Racing team as they get the job done. And as such, time to move on from Pennsylvania and take a trip once again all across the world, this time to the Red Bull Ring. We went there last season and it was a fantastic showing. Road course racers, we do have our fair share of ringers who are dominant, but don't expect it to be completely dominant by a few drivers. We could see some wild card runners up at the front of the field, making things exciting from flag to flag. Stay tuned next week, Monday night, same time, same place, to find out more for round number 20 of the Integrity Ignite Series this year. You've been watching exclusive coverage of the Integrity Racing League live on FTN, and the Integrity Ignite Series tonight, they went to the Tricky Triangle in the Pocono Raceway for the Long Pond 200. I've been your host, David Kreutz, commentating and producing, and if you enjoyed, make sure to leave a like on the stream and subscribe to the channel. Your support is always greatly appreciated. If you'd like to join the racing action, scan the QR code on your screen or visit the Fireball Talks NASCAR Broadcasting Discord server in the description below. We'd love to have you join the fun live on FTN and, of course, experience all the action and excitement of virtual motorsport here on the iRacing platform. Thank you all for watching tonight's coverage of the Long Pond 200. We'll be back next week with more coverage of the Integrity Ignite Series, and the ISRA Xfinity Series is currently live right now on FTN if you want some more racing action as well. Thank you for stopping by, and we hope you have a fantastic night.